All right, so we'll welcome everyone. My name's Gianna. I'm one of the reference librarians here at the Chelmsford Public Library. So thank you so much for joining us tonight for File, Pile, Sort, and Shred with Jamie Novak. If your tabletops are covered with stacks of paper and your filing cabinets are overflowing, then you won't want to miss this virtual program. Join author and organizer Jamie Novak for this 1-hour event where she'll show you which papers to keep, for how long, and ways to file them once and for all. Plus, she'll share what you can shred regret-free. You'll make your own retention schedule for future reference and organize papers with her during the program, so get ready for that. And so to introduce our presenter tonight, you may have seen her on morning TV, read her newest book, Keep This, Toss That, listened to her 10-minute podcast, or watched her YouTube show. Jamie Novak spends most days presenting virtual programs on how to de-stress and declutter with a humorous twist. Before I hand it over, I just also want to remind folks, for any comments that you have for tonight's presentation, pop those in the chat down below on your Zoom menu. And then any questions that you have, put in the Q&A section if you can. That way we can kind of separate the two and make it easy for us later on. All right, Jamie, I'll hand it over.
It's all us and the paperwork. Thank you, Gianna. That was a fantastic intro. Welcome, everyone. We'd love to see your comments. Pop in the chat. What paperwork is tripping you up the most? Or what about paperwork isn't working? Are you just disinterested in sorting papers? Overwhelmed by papers? They just keep coming. Not sure which ones to keep or toss. So jump in the chat. If you'd like to say hello, please do. We've already had a few friends popping over there. Hi, Teresa. So chat's open. Jump in if you'd like. And we're going to be talking all about the paperwork this evening. So many of you are back. It's great to have you back. And hopefully you saw the entire list of programs coming up. We'll be together the first Thursday of every month, with the exception of July, because that's July 4th. So it'll be the second Thursday, and is an action-packed series. And a big thank you to the Chelmsford Library for making this program possible. We've got Yikes coming in. We've got Read Later and Bills and Overwhelmed and what to keep and what to toss and all the things. So hopefully we'll have all those answers for you and more. So let's jump right in to the sorting of the papers, whether it's the current pile that's sitting on a countertop or tabletop. Maybe the tabletop is covered in papers. Maybe it's backlog, like a 4-drawer filing cabinet that's chock full. Can't get another paper inside. So now the to be filed is sitting on top of the filing cabinet. The shredder may be burnt out, which, by the way, let me let you know, in case you didn't know, most brands of shredders require or suggest that you send through a lubrication sheet every so often. So if, like me, you didn't even know that was a thing, check the warranty book or call the manufacturer. And if that is a yes for your machine, to keep it in good working order, I highly suggest it. I have burnt out more than one of those machines. So absolutely, that is what we're looking at. So let's talk about what to do, all the things that are going on, the papers that are just continuing to pile up, how to stop the junk mail, which papers to keep, where to keep them, and for how long. If you're starting your notes on a piece of paper, oh gosh, another piece of paper for the pile of papers. Today is, of course, the 7th of March. And so go ahead and mark your notes with that information, because right there, maybe in a little boxed out section, or over to one side of the piece of paper, you're probably going to want to jot down sort of your own little personal retention schedule, how long you're going to hold on to things, and where we're going to put them. So let's jump in. All right, let's get started, because I'm going to answer what's probably the number one question, the one I get asked most often when it comes to paperwork, and that is, which papers do I have to keep? So we're going to look at 3 questions that I ask myself. We're going to look at the IRS's guideline. Now, I want to remind you, I'm a professional organizer. I'm the author of multiple books on organizing, including my newest one, Keep This, Toss That, published by Reader's Digest. And it's written in oversized font in checklist format. And the paperwork chapter is where I took some of the information for our program this evening. So in case you're like, I need a little more help, that might be a great resource for you. I'm an organizer. I'm an author. I'm not a tax attorney. I'm not a CPA. I'm not an estate planner. I'm not an estate lawyer. I don't even play one on Zoom. So I'm going to share with you from an organizational standpoint what would be suggested and what's like on the IRS's website. But I would always suggest that you check with a professional. And because it is tax season, Jill was so clever to schedule this program this month because so many of our other documents are out for tax season. It's a perfect time to freshen all of that up and get rid of what we can. So let's take a look at what is really recommended. And that is the IRS says to us, as long as we're paying our taxes, we've gotten our refund, we're paying our bill, there's nothing outstanding, there's nothing unusual, we're just doing the tax thing. They would like us to hold on to the tax return and supporting documents. And a suggestion is 3 years. And that's because you might want to file an amendment. They might have a question. A paper could go missing. Who knows what can happen? 3 years feels like a reasonable amount of time. And so that's what's sort of suggested. However, you may have heard of the 7-year paper rule. And where that comes from is the fact that if the IRS has a few more questions, you did something highly unusual, it took a big loss, had a bankruptcy, misrepresented something intentionally, then their window of question can open up a little bit from 3 to that 7-year window. And that's why you'll often hear the 7-year paper rule. So just to clarify, that's the return and the supporting paperwork, not every pay stub, not every statement. It's those year-end documents that you take when you file taxes, which so many of us have online now anyway. Now, it might bring you greater comfort to keep every tax return, but again, if you've made your refunds, if you've paid the bill, everything should just be going along smoothly. So that's really what we're required to keep from the sort of financial side of things. There are some other things as well. We're looking at, investments where you maybe purchased stocks and things, and then we would need to know what you purchased it at versus what you sold it at for capital gains. Again, a lot of the companies are required to keep this, so a quick call to them, you could figure out yes or no. And then, of course, identifying documents, things like your birth certificate, passport, social security card, if the marriage certificate applies, if a divorce decree is in place, those are the sorts of things that those are usually not best kept in a filing cabinet. Much prefer those in some sort of a fire resistant, watertight pouch. The pouch can be in the filing cabinet. But let's just say you've got that filing cabinet and maybe an upstairs bathroom overhead, and there's a very small water leak. Maybe so small you didn't even know it was happening. And by the time you know it's happening, those important documents are ruined or they've been lost. And then what happens? You've got to start over. It takes money and time and energy to find all the things. So let's just take a quick peek online at a little pouch. So this is a fire resistant watertight pouch. It's about $16. You'll see I just bought another one and it fits a lot of those important documents inside, keeps them secure. You can grab and go in case there's an emergency in your home or, a reason you need to leave your home very quickly. Everything's together. So that's awesome. So many of you are sharing other papers that are necessary to keep. And so you're absolutely spot on with that. So we can talk about a few other pieces. So this is where you're making that retention schedule off to the side. So documents, now, Camille's saying like explanation of benefits for medical treatments. Yes and no. Yes and no. So let's sort of just recap for a moment. The IRS is asking us to hold on to they want us to hold on to the tax return and supporting documents. So what you take to file your taxes for a minimum of 3 years. 7 years is probably a pretty a good number, because again, that gives you that wiggle room just in case something comes back. So that would be great. And from there, we're going to look at some other papers. I keep everything for the home. If you own a home, repairs and warranties and improvements. Again, that can go to capital gains taxes, depends on your situation. But when you go to sell your home, if you are a renter, everything until you're reimbursed would be important. For the car, I would keep things like, when you do maintenance to the car, repairs to the car, maybe there was a recall and it's been fixed. Again, if you go to sell the vehicle or trade it in, these types of papers can be really helpful just to have them all in one place. So there's the link in the chat for the pouch in case you're interested. That just happens to be the one that I've used and continue to purchase and gift to people, especially as a new homeowner's gift. It makes a lovely gift. So then we're looking at ID documents, and you know what these are, right? It's your birth certificate, it's your passport, it's your social security card, which you should not be carrying with you on just an everyday occasion. About a marriage license if it applies, divorce decree, prenuptial, postnuptial agreements, custody arrangements, alimony, military ID, death certificate for anyone that's passed on already, within the, like family, just to kind of show, sometimes you need to prove, and then it's difficult to get those documents afterwards. And then any letter that says you don't owe any more money, that's a great letter to hold on to. If you have them, I would put them to the side, and going forward, anytime you pay something off, they're usually a raised seal or stamped letter, and it'll say you're done paying us something. That's a great letter, because if that account gets sold somehow and they come back and they're like, you owe us one more payment, and you're like, no, I do not. It would be great to be able to just hand them that letter and not have to go back through your statements and find everything. So, yes, I would keep the most recent, even if it's expired. A lot of times the passport can be used in some circumstances as an ID situation. So, we can look at important documents again a little bit later, but really, I think what most of us want to get down to is some more of the papers we have to hold on to, and maybe more importantly, what we can get rid of. So, I'm going to share with you 3 questions that can really help us identify what we can get rid of. Before I share those questions with you, I'll remind you that so many of your statements, that are arriving, they're offering you right on the outside of the envelope, usually, do you want to go paperless? Go paperless. Visit this website and go paperless. And why are they saying that? They're saying that because you are not required to keep your own second set of records for those companies. Bank, savings, checking, credit cards, even investments, insurance policies, all sorts of different utility bills in your cell phone. The companies absolutely have to keep a copy. What we're doing is keeping a second duplicate set of records. Maybe that brings you great comfort. You like to have your own set of records, in which case, definitely do that. But I would give yourself a limit. So maybe 1 year, something like that. And then you feel that confidence of, if I needed to go back and look at a statement or something, you have it at your fingertips. But for me, what I realized I was doing was just replicating my mother's system. So growing up, I watched my mother. We had a 4-drawer filing cabinet. Every month, she would pay the bills, reconcile her accounts, and then file one piece of paper per file folder per month, which was a full-time job. Then at the end of the year, the whole system was outdated. But why was she doing that? Because we didn't have easy access, right? So if she wanted to look up like the, gas usage from last month or something, she'd have to plug in the internet, and then it would make that horrible sound like, right? It would do that. And then we'd be connected to the internet, and she might be able to log on to an online account, but that wasn't even really, available. We didn't have these account portals, let's say. So that's why it was easier just to keep a second set of records. Now, at our fingertips, if you remember your username and password, if you can dial customer service, it is so easy to access these records. So that second duplicate set of your own is not always required. Again, doesn't mean you don't want it. So as Diane points out, it would be super helpful to go ahead and check with these accounts, log into your online accounts, call customer service, and see how far back their records go. at no charge to you. My bank goes back 7 years, and beyond that, they can pull it for me, but it would be about $10. So that gives me great confidence that at my fingertips, by calling customer service or logging on, I've got 7 years plus, and it might cost me $10. But honestly, if I was keeping 8+ years at home, I'd run out of room and I wouldn't even know where it was anyway. So, these companies have definite backups. Even if the whole internet just stopped working, I think we'd have bigger issues than me trying to look up something in my file box. But again, you have to do what you feel most comfortable with. So let's take a look at the 3 most important questions that I ask when it comes to paper. We'll see how to remove ourselves from junk mail, and we'll do a little paper sorting together if you're feeling so inspired to join us. So let's look at question number 1. And I love to ask myself, is this easily available to me elsewhere? Is this easily available to me elsewhere? Is this easily available to me elsewhere? And I think that this is just the scenario where the answer may be yes, and it may bring you confidence to say, then you know what? I don't need my own copy. Is this easily available to me elsewhere? Great question to ask. So if you say, yep, I can just log it on, we're all set. And from there, question number 2, where would I look for this? Where would I look for this? So I wouldn't file anything using anyone else's filing system. I would go with what would you call it and how would you recall it if you needed it? Because the worst thing is going to be to put it away, know you have it, and then not be able to find it. So where would you look for this? With that in mind, I would suggest one safe place. So if you're one of the many of us that puts things in a really safe place and then can't remember it because it's so safe even we can't find it, I would identify one safe place going forward. So question 1, is this easily available to me elsewhere? Question 2, where would I look for this? One safe place. And number 3, what is this paper telling me? What is this paper telling me? And for me, this was the biggest way that I was able to eliminate so much of the paper in my life. And that's by asking myself, what is this paper telling me? So Gianna and I were talking before our program even began, and she was saying like the keeper of like little bits and scraps of paper and things. And so what is this paper telling me? Because as an example, I received a letter from the bank. It was very formal looking. Opens up the letter. The letter says our customer service number is changing as of the springtime. I forgot what date. Normally, I would open that letter, read that information, promptly forget that information, put that piece of paper in a pile because it's important information, and then I would deal with it later. And that letter would be as good as gone. Now, because of question 3, what is this paper telling me? I pause, try to stay focused, and go, oh, it's telling me there's a new customer service number. Where would I look for that? Well, I have my bank contact information in my phone. So it would require me to take 2 minutes, turn on my phone, open up my contacts, log into the bank contact, delete the old number, put in the new number, and I'm done. Then I can shred that paper. If the paper didn't have my account number on it, I could even just recycle it. So I think by my asking myself, what is this paper telling me? It was really, really helpful. Now, you may find that when you're reading a letter, it's telling you something, you need the information, but you don't need the piece of paper. So what would that look like? Where could you put that? Where would you rewrite that? How can you put a reminder? But also, the thing about that would be setting up potential alerts. So a lot of times I was leery of going paperless because I really felt more confident in that paper arriving that reminded me to pay the bill. So for all of our accounts, we can set up alerts. It's going to take a couple of hours to do all your accounts, but you could try it with just one. And that would allow you to then receive a text message and or an email when a bill is due, when a bill is overdue, when a payment is processed, when there's a credit on your account. I returned something to Macy's the other day. I didn't have to worry about it because I was waiting on it says you're due a credit, then it said your credit came through. I didn't have to wait till the end of the month to reconcile the account. So it really can help us to stay on top of what's happening with our accounts throughout the month, if that's helpful. Now, there was a couple of thoughts in the chat, and I just want to circle back to the pouch versus a bank deposit box. And again, the bank may be closed. If there's an issue and you need to leave your area and bank's closed, you need your documents. My uncle missed a vacation because his passport was in the bank and the bank was closed. Not very organized, but it happens. Also, if you're not available, but you need a paper, a trusted person can't just go get it for you, but a trusted person with a key to your home that you tell them where your pouch is would be an option. So we can look at that pouch again. That information is in the chat. And I prefer the pouch. There is a box. The box is heavy. It has a key. If you lose keys, that's not great. And you can't just grab it and go in the event of an emergency. Talking about some products, let's take a look at one more. And we're going to do some sorting in just a moment. So get ready. Maybe you have a pile of papers or an old file folder from the way back of a cabinet. You can usually make quick work of that because it's usually older. Recipes you'll never prepare, stuff like that. Here are ID rollers. ID rollers. Let's take a peek at them. So this one happens to be a set of 3. They're about $10 each. This is $27. I keep one in the entryway, one in the kitchen, and one in the office. You have to roll over sensitive parts of a document or your prescription bottle, or an offer like a credit card offer or something. You've got to roll over it like back and forth. I wouldn't just go once. I'd go like back and forth. But it's a very thick ink in a series of like letters that are turned, and it encrypts what you roll it over. And so this could allow you to catch up on your shredding if you're a little bit behind. So this is the ID roller, and I'll put that in chat for you. So if you're looking to set up those alerts, I would say you've got to log on to each account or contact customer service for each account. So make a list of accounts. While you're making a list of accounts, why not make a list of things that are coming out of your bank, like an EFT draft? And that way, if you ever need to change banks or bank account numbers, maybe your bank account gets compromised, you won't have to try to figure out those recurring charges. You'll just have a long list, which is kind of nice as well. Janet's mentioning a particular company where those products are a little cheaper. Janet, I would invite you to take a peek at the policy, the privacy policy of the company you're suggesting, and just make sure you feel comfortable with everything they're collecting on you. But I would agree they're a lot cheaper. So we're going to take a look at a desktop file box. It holds hanging file folders. And this is something that I've used for so many years. This is actually almost 30 years old. It sits on the edge of my countertop in the kitchen, very convenient. And it's just where I access my everyday papers. I'm in this box like on an everyday basis. It's almost like a mini file folder or filing cabinet, I should say. And I make it super simple on myself. We don't have a lot of time. We're busy. No one wants to really work with these papers. Here we go. Here is the sticky note and the inside back of that file folder. Look, I've labeled it. I've labeled it recipes I'll never prepare. I labeled it doctor's appointment, May 17th. And here's your referral and all your information. Doctor's appointment day, this goes into recycle. You take out your contents, you have a new file to work with. I'm planning my niece's graduation party. There's a file for that. Bills to be paid. There could be a file for that. Health articles you're clipping because there's a current interest in a particular health situation. Not all the health articles you've ever clipped, just the ones that are today, current, right? That sort of a thing. So you would probably find that it's super simple to take the current pile of papers, turn them upright, give them each a category, and put them in a box. We can move the box when company's coming, you need to chop vegetables, or you want to work on your papers somewhere else. So I would take a look at this little tab. We just stick it on the file folder, and maybe you've got, coupons and store cards. Now, if you have these coupons, you know they can go. The store closed. The store is closed, so those can go. Maybe you like to keep paper restaurant menus. Paper restaurant menus right here, restaurant menus, done. So everyone's box and file folders are going to look a little different. My favorite folder in this box says follow up, follow up. So I think that is the one that I'm always looking at because it's the things that I need to remember to follow up on that I never remember to follow up on. Now, Robert reminds us that those paper menus are available online. So again, answering question number 1, is this easily available to me elsewhere? And for Robert, the answer is yes. For some of us, we like to look at the pictures. Now I love that Robert's going, let's go digital. Take a picture of it. Absolutely. But for the person that's like, nope, I want my paper menu. I need a place to put it though. This is the option. So I love, really we're trying to make the systems customizable for each and every one of us, our comfort level with paper, no, not having paper, going digital, not going digital. The whole thing is, if you're going to keep a paper, I want you to know where it is so you can access it. 98% of the papers we keep are never referenced again. There was a whole study done on this. And so it might even be up to 99 at this point. So I would just say, if you've got them here, we want you to be able to find them again. So we would group them. In fact, if you're taking notes on a scrap of paper, where's it going? Notes from my online programs. And hopefully you're joining us for this whole series. So we're going to be seeing you the first Thursday of every month, with the exception of July. It'll be the second Thursday. And how fun that your notes will be there from every month. You can put your successes. And when you come next month, you can tell us what you did. Otherwise, that scrap of paper is going to be who knows where. Talking about scraps of paper, next month is all about organizing your life into one single notebook. So very excited about that. All right, let's talk about binders, because I think binders can be a lovely sort of complement to the file box. And that is, you might want to have one for medical. So you could have a medical chart, a medical binder. Every family member could have one. If you have a pet that goes to the vet, they could have one. You could do one for home or vehicles. You could do one for instruction books and manuals. Again, often available online. You can look at the manufacturer's website. If you think you might sell the item, I would keep the manual, because often the item becomes more valuable if you have the manual. Not by so much, but it's nice. Susan, yes, you will be signing up for each individual program. So the link's in the chat, and I know that Gianna's going to put it in again for us a couple times. So binders can be a great strategy if you're trying to whittle down your filing cabinet, or like me, get rid of your filing cabinet altogether. I have binders. I can grab my binder for medical and go to a doctor's appointment, and there's my most current blood work. When the binder gets too thick, I archive the old stuff and only keep like the newest. So it's there. I love it. Deb says, yeah, exactly. For x-rays. Do you know how impressed your physician is when you walk in with like your own medical chart? They're like, what is happening? So I don't 3-hole punch a thing, Peggy. First of all, I don't know where my hole punch is. Second of all, it makes confetti because the bottom falls out, and then I've got a vacuum. I don't have time for that. So I also don't like to put holes in formal documents. So I typically just put the clear plastic sheet protectors and pocketed folders. A lot of times the tab dividers come with the slash pocket, makes it really easy for filling the binder and then labeling it, and you're all set. Now, Ellen says, but there's the online portal. So do we need a medical binder? Well, doesn't sound like Ellen does. She's going digital, which we love. But for the person that's like, I don't even know my password, I don't have a computer at home. Yeah, I'm going to need a binder, or maybe it's a combination. So we're just doing what works for you. That's the really important part. And with that in mind, let's get started. So Susan, my binders sit on the bottom shelf of the bookcase in the living room off to the side. They don't bother me there. I know exactly where they are. Everyone that should know where they are knows where they are. And we're perfect. So wherever you'd like to put them, but I need it to be convenient. So they used to be in the pantry, but I'm out of pantry space. So they're in the living room now, and they work really well. So perfect. All right, let's do a little sorting together. If you've been overwhelmed by the pile of papers, I'd love for you to just spend a little time with us now. I'll be here to answer questions. So if you get stuck, jump in And chat's open, Q&A's open. I'm going to scroll back and see what I've missed during our little work time. So I'm going to say 5 minutes, and you're probably going to say, I can't get anything done in 5 minutes. And I'm going to challenge you to try that out, because for me, I would say, oh, I need a whole day to work on my papers. Then I don't want to work on my papers for a whole day, so I would never do it. So I'm going to invite you to practice along with us, whether you want to go carefully, walk and go get maybe an older file folder that you can go through fast, or maybe a current pile of papers that'll take a little longer, but you can apply those questions. Is this easily available to me elsewhere? Where would I look for it? And what is this paper telling me? We're going to set a timer for 5 minutes. I'm going to cheer you on as we sort papers together. Be ruthless, shredding, discarding. Are you going to make that chocolate chip recipe? Chocolate chip cookies? No, you're just going to make the one on the back of the bag of chips. Let it go. It's available online. You have cookbooks. You can go to the library. So out it goes. Are you ready? We're going to set a timer for 5 minutes, and you're going to not move papers around. You're going to process papers. If you need to fill it out, fill it out. If you need to read it, read it. The idea is not to make piles like to be read, to be shred, right? But it's just to work. So I'm not saying go paperless. I'm saying if you want to go paperless, we can help you do that. If you want to keep the papers, then I want you to have a system for them that you can find them again, and how long you're keeping them so you know they can go out. All right, are we ready? 5 minutes on the timer. We're going to begin in 3, 2, 1, and go. Timer's ticking, and we're sorting papers. Read, process, fill out. Let's get rid of them if we can, or put them in the right place if we're keeping them. And we're coming up on the 3-minute mark. So what we're doing now, in case we're sort of whizzing along and you're a little trying to catch up with us, and no worries, it happens, there's a lot going on. The idea is we're taking a pile of papers and seeing how many we can process in 5 minutes. So we just want to take some papers, pick up the first one. What is it? Can I discard it? Do I need it? And we're processing the papers. We have halfway through now. We're at 2 minutes and 35 seconds left. And we're at our final minute. How's it going? So many of you are busy. Look at Julie going, sifting through that catch-all file. I love it. 3, 2, 1. There's our jazzy little timer. How did it go? So I know that wasn't enough time to like clear off a big pile, but hopefully it was a little something to go, you know what? Maybe I got more done in 5 minutes than I've done all day or week. Maybe I was more successful than I thought I would be in 5 minutes. And maybe I don't need all day to do this. I can work in these little bursts of time. Join us in the chat if you'd like to tell us, how did it go? Let us know. We'd love to know what you worked on, what you found, things to let go of, hopefully. So Malvina's asking, do you sort papers on a daily basis? You can. I would suggest, depending on how many papers you have and what works best for you, maybe an office hour once a week. So let them pile up, not in a basket, not in a tray, not in a box, not in a bin, because then all of a sudden that gets really full. Weeks go by. Tina says the timer really helped to focus. I find that too. A commercial break from a television show, work on papers while the laundry's in, or dinner's cooking. Again, a timed moment. I work faster. I make quicker decisions. Otherwise, it's like, oh, I've got all day and then I get nothing done. So a daily basis you could, but then it feels like you're doing papers every day. If an office hour once a week feels more manageable, then I think that's great too. All right, let's take a look. We've got a couple of questions that I have to do some research on, so hang on for the answers for those. A sort of a basic, no fancy frills, a shredder, if you will. We've got a couple of questions coming in about that. And we're looking for one that does a cross cut. So the one that just sort of does the strips is not meant, the reviews say it's not as secure. So Fellows is of one brand. This isn't an ad for Fellows. It's just the one that I've happened to use for like forever. So Fellows, Fellows, Fellows. And you're looking for the things that would be important to me. It accepts paper clips and credit cards because I would want to be able to shred those. So that would be important. And this is the one that I've used. Now, yes, some banks do a shred it day. UPS and Staples stores will shred. I think it's like $1 a pound. But if you'd like to have your own shredder, it would be an option. You also have that ID roller, so you're all set there. Lorraine is like me. We try not to print. I actually disconnected my printer, so I have to get up and plug it in, like if I actually want to print something, which causes me to print very few things, which is great. And, again, even if you're not like really embracing the whole paperless thing, there's probably an opportunity to take advantage of some of the technology that's out there that maybe you weren't as familiar with. And the reason I say that is because there's a lot of things that I didn't know I could do with technology. So let's just, as an example, take a quick peek at how you can bookmark something. Now you might say, oh, Jamie, I've been bookmarking forever. That's not new. In which case, fantastic. I love that you've done that. But here as an example on the screen, you're going to see the awesome blog post that the library did for our upcoming series. So Jill wrote this about our upcoming series, and this is where you can see all the upcoming programs and find their registration links. And here is how to organize your life in one notebook happening on April 4th. Okay, so you could print this, but that's not really helpful because now it's in a pile of papers. So what is this trying to tell me? Well, I've got to mark my calendar for each of these dates that I'm coming. And then I have to register sooner rather than later to be sure you get your spot. So there's a couple of activities here. It's not really that I need to print this, it's that I need to take action. And those are two completely different things. So what I would have done before is print this, and then it would sit in a pile, and then I would miss the programs. So first, what do? Put them on our calendar, register. And then what you'll notice when you're looking at this on your device, phone or laptop or iPad, you'll see a little star or a way to favorite something. And when you do that, it adds it to your favorites. And that way, when you go to your favorites and you type in something about, you can search the favorites bar. And let's say you want to search for, well, what word would we put in here to find this again? I guess we could put in, we'll put in the library, right? And let's just see. Oh, well, I have to spell it right. I have to spell it correctly so it'll come up for us. And then when we do, we're going to see the information about the blog post that we just saved. And so we didn't necessarily have to print this, but we need the information on the calendar because how else will you remember to come to the events with us? So this was really helpful for me. One of my favorite websites for looking up recipes is copycat.com. I can put it in the chat for you, copycat. And just note that the spelling of cat is with a K, copycat.com. And the reason I love copycat.com is it has all the chain restaurant recipes, like how they make the Cheddar Bay biscuits and what's in the salad dressing and all the things. And so when you put that in there and you save it on your computer as in your favorites, then anytime you want it, you can just go back and find it, and you didn't have to print out all the recipes or miss the new ones that came out. So this would allow you to, and again, let's look at it one more time. It would allow you to have your address up. You're looking at the website. We'll hit that little star button. We're going to save it to our favorites. Then when we want to look at our favorites, we can search our favorites, copy, cat with a K, and then we click it and it opens up the website. And it's just there for you. So is this easily available to me elsewhere? Great question to ask. All right, so let's take a peek. I don't think there's well, I don't know. Malvina, we'll see if we can help you. Our next program is April 4th. So Not sure. Not on the 21st. It's the first Thursday of every month. Okay, so we have a couple more things to cover and a few questions still outstanding. So let's take a peek. Catherine, the notary seal, I would say libraries and banks often have notaries. That would probably be a great question to ask them. I actually don't know the answer to that one, but I can try to figure it out for you. Also, I don't know if the notary organization would know, but you're correct in thinking it's not just something to get rid of. So on notaries.com, it says remove the rubber from the bottom base of the stamp. Careful not to get ink on your hands. Cut the rubber polymer into pieces with scissors to ensure it's properly destroyed, and throw the pieces in the rubber trash. So this is the directions from notaries.com, and I could put that in the link for you. So thanks, because I never knew that. And now I learned something new too. So, all right, well, junk mail seems to be a very popular question. Let's take a peek at that. And oh, Sharpies, Arlene, Sharpies, the thing with Sharpies is they don't usually fill in the indentation. So once you go over with the Sharpie, you can still do this and see the indentation, which is why the ID roller that gives a thicker ink and fills it in is more removed. Oh, couldn't remove the rubber stamp. Oh, that's interesting. Okay, you were gonna have to figure that out. Financial prospectus, again, the answer is it's available online. It's not particular. It's just sort of like, everyone gets the same one. So I think, the prospectus isn't, specific, and you can get it again if you need it. So that would probably be really helpful to say, let it go. Medical records, I think it's helpful to keep a history. So like a timeline of things that have happened. But from there, medical records, it's really at your preference. I typically do a year of current things happening, most recent lab work, doctor's business cards and things, labs I've gone to, and then a running list of things that have happened before that. So I wonder too, with the rubber stamp, if you carefully heat it with like a hair dryer a little bit, if it would help release it. I don't know, that's a challenge. All right, so let's take a peek. How do we stop junk mail? Gosh, yeah, that is the question of the evening. So let's take a look at catalogchoice.org. Catalogchoice.org. That is where for free you can request removal from the catalogs that you may be enrolled on. Catalogchoice.org, and that would be an option. Jean Lee, nope. After you roll it with the thing, you just throw it in the recycle. After you roll the sensitive information with the ID roller. Catalogchoice.org, and this is going to let you for free remove yourself from catalog mailing lists that you may no longer wish to receive, and that's catalogchoice.org, and you see that right there, catalogchoice.org. Okay, great. And then we look at dmachoice.org, dmachoice.org, and that's the one where you can remove yourself from junk mail mailing lists. Now, this one, there is a small fee for a 10-year registration window. So it's a 10-year registration period. Let's take a look at how it works. DMA Choice. This is run by the largest junk mail mailing list. So you will see up to an 80% reduction in your junk mail. Registration. Here's your information. You can add 3 names at the same address, and you can pay $5 for a 10-year registration period if you like to pay online. If you do not like to pay online, don't worry. You can mail in the registration form with a check for $6. There's a dollar, I don't know, fee for them doing it. And that's the mail-in. But it's the same 10-year registration period. So it is a long time where I've done this. Many other attendees to programs have done this. And readers have even mentioned it when they've read the book, and then they've left a book review. They've mentioned it. So this might be an option for you. And it's a little bit of money, but it's up to an 80% reduction in junk mail. Unfortunately, solicitations for giving money, once you're on the list, you're kind of on the list. You might want to check out Charity Navigator, to see how the organization uses your funds. Sometimes small donations to multiple organizations, your benefit to them is that they can sell your information, even if you ask them not to. Sometimes they forget that. So, you know, Charity Navigator can help you understand how much of your dollar is going to what you think it's going to versus you just getting put on another mailing list. So that's a whole situation. Okay. I love what Malvina says. I stand in front of my recycling pail and open the mail. I have a teeny tiny mail, a junk mail swing top, like little trash can right in the entryway. That stuff doesn't even come like, I say entryway, you enter right into my first room, but right there, like there's a little place I put, the stuff doesn't even come in the house, like doesn't even enter beyond that. And then you don't have to deal with it if you never let it in, which is really helpful. Stop bringing paper home. Every brochure, you go to a meeting and they give you the minutes. Like, do you need the minutes? I don't know. The secretary has the minutes, the club minutes or something. So all of these things could be an option for us. So stop bringing paper home is probably a really good one. Straight into the recycling bin is the answer. Away it goes. Let's take a look at your calendar. When do you plan on doing another paper sorting moment? What does that look like? Does it look like you scheduling an office hour? Does it look like 15 minutes before your favorite show once a week? Does it look like the first commercial break from your favorite television show? What is your plan? So that maybe when you come back and join us, I mean, April, it's going to be here before we know it. And I'm hoping you're going to want to join us with a success and say, this is what I did. I cleaned out that file drawer, or I got my stuff to shredding, or I shredded it. So what does that look like? And I think it would be great if you might set yourself up with a little goal, maybe a weekly goal or a monthly, and then you'll come back on April 4th, hopefully, for organizing your life into one notebook, and we can talk more about it. So unfortunately, it is annoying. So many of you are saying in the chat and in the Q&A, it's just annoying because you ask to be removed from the mailing list and they don't. And the reason is, you're beneficial to them. They can make money off of your information. So it's unfortunate. I don't have a better answer for charity yet, but the minute I do, I'll be sure that I'll let you know about it. Yeah, absolutely. So Rachel's saying, so they're charging us to stop sending us the junk mail. Yeah, that's kind of the way it's working. I mean, you can contact each and every company, but if your information's been sold over and over again, how would we even know who to contact? So it's sort of a one-stop shop for doing it, but yes, they are also the owners of the list. So it's interesting for sure. Yeah, absolutely. So Lori's asking, can we address the security of like our online records? Here's the thing. I think we've all either gotten a letter or multiple letters, read online, seen on the news. You put your credit card in at the gas station, you put your credit card in at the grocery store, someone's collecting your information. There's been a hack online of records. That's from their side of it. They're going to have to do more to get that firewall going, I guess. I don't know much about it, but to make sure that hopefully that doesn't happen and your information's not compromised. The challenge is, they're still going to have your records online. Like that's their protocol oftentimes, like that's just how it's working. So, I mean, they're going to be available even if something's down for a day or two, they're available. So, I'm not sure from which way I can say it, Lori, that's just how it is. So I would definitely get your credit report. You can get your credit report through annualcreditreport.com. You can get your credit report from each of the 3 major credit reporting bureaus once a year for free. So I get one from each one, like every 4 months. And just look. You can also freeze your credit if you're concerned. But then if you ever go to get something, you have to unfreeze your credit or you're going to be denied. So that's a whole other process. Listen, they try to make it easy. We're going to go paperless. It'll be easier. And honestly, I feel like it's more difficult because I've got, 2 verifications to log into everything. But it's just how it is. Life is complicated. And I love that because we'd rather be spending our time on other stuff. We can get a simple system for paper. And then like if it's effortless, it's easy to keep up with. Don't bring a lot of paper home. Don't print new stuff. Focus on the paper we have. And then hopefully it frees up our time and our energy and our space to do things that are way more exciting than this. So unfortunately, Eileen, the political mailings and the solicitations do not stop through DMA choice. That's more the, like dear resident, dear friend, sort of a thing. So that would maybe be helpful if you wanted to look at that. So let's see, are we feeling good about the paper? Sometimes maybe it's a little bit of information that you weren't expecting, and then you're like, whoa, wait a minute. So that would be important to just take a breath. You recognize we set that timer for 5 minutes and look at all we did. Here is annualcreditreport.com. And then what you can see is federal law allows you to get a free copy of your credit report every 12 months from each credit reporting bureau, Experian, TransUnion, and Equifax. And that is annualcreditreport.com. I can put that in the chat for you. So that is how that works. And if you haven't gotten yours, now here's the thing. When you go there and you get your report, are we going to print it? And the answer is probably no. It's going to be what? 75 pages, 40 pages, 30 pages of highly sensitive information because it's all your accounts, all your addresses, all your everything. And then what are you going to do with it? We just really want to look at it. So you can download it online, download it from online and keep it on your computer as a PDF, or you can email it to yourself. But I mean, yeah, if you start printing that stuff, then you have to shred it because you'd be blacking out the whole thing. It's all sensitive information. The 3 questions we asked: is this easily available to me elsewhere? Where would I look for this? And what is this paper telling me? Is this easily available to me elsewhere? Where would I look for this? And what is this paper telling me? And those can be 3 great questions to make decisions. I think more important, when we're working with those questions, set a timer and process the papers. Any other questions? Let's take a look at questions or comments coming in. Jump in the chat and let us know your takeaway from tonight. Are we feeling good about the whole thing? Old real estate transactions. I would keep everything for at least 3 years, maybe 7 if you want to be uber cautious. Always check with the lawyer. I'm the lawyer that processed the documents, can tell you that. Beyond that, I would probably keep things like the inspection report, the actual official like sales, and any like disclosures. If it's beyond that time and you just want to get rid of everything, I personally just like to keep a running list of like the addresses where I've lived. And especially because sometimes that's a security question to get you logged into places. And if you forget, that would be important. If you give to a lot of charities, the receipts, if it applies for you for taxes, then hold on to it. But thank you letters and receipts, to me, that's not sentimental, so I wouldn't keep it. Look at all the lovely comments and coming in. Yes, everyone's been busy, busy, busy. Return to sender, does it stop to block the mail? Wendy, it may, but the challenge is a lot of times that machines are opening it on the other end and nobody sees it anyway. So, yeah, it's a challenge. If you want to stop credit card offers, you can do that at opt-out pre-screen. Opt-out pre-screen. That'll be the last resource that we look at. We've got to say so long. But we'll be back together in April. Organize your life into one notebook. Here is opt-out pre-screen. OPT-OUT-PRE screen. These are the pre-approved credit card solicitations that arrive that you absolutely must shred or dispose of. You don't want somebody opening a credit card. You can opt out. Look, opt out. And then you want to opt in. No, thank you. Opt out. Yes. And then it's going to ask for information. Please note, the required information has a star. Social security number. We're not putting it in. Date of birth. We're also not putting that in. You could, but it's not required. So don't get tripped up. You don't have to put it in. Fill in the information and confirm. It will opt you out of pre-approved credit card offers for 5 years. Permanently, if you want them to mail you a postcard and you send it back. As we wrap up our time together, don't forget to give yourself a treasure box where you keep treasured paper memorabilia, ticket stubs and playbills and letters and things that are special that you're like, where would I put this? Should I keep it? Absolutely, keep it. I would hold on to it. The treasures. Jean wants to know from jobs, pay stubs, not once you get the W-2. The W-2 replaces the pay stubs. Keep the pay stubs till you get the W-2. Then the W-2 goes with the tax paperwork for 7 years. Start date, retire date, beneficiaries. I mean, if the job is done and there's no retirement benefits, you might want it for like just, looking back at your job history. But if there's benefits that go with it, we would want to keep the things for that, especially, pensions and stuff. So yeah. I don't think that you can print the chat, which is probably a good thing because then it would be more paper. So I'd invite you to just be brave and say, you know what, I'm going to leave the chat here. So that would be an important thing. As we wrap up, please do go ahead and register. I think Juliana's going to have that link for us in the chat to register for the upcoming programs. And if you'd like to leave an evaluation about tonight or any other program that you've attended through the Chelmsford Library, in the chat there is the link to give us a little evaluation, and it is anonymous if you'd like it to be. I think it just is. I think, yes, it's just anonymous. So we would love to see you back in April and then every month after that. Organize your life into one notebook. Please jump in the chat if you'd like to, again, share your success. Tell us what you're going to do before next program, April 4th. Here's the link to the upcoming programs. So there we go. All right, I love it. So many awesome comments. Thank you for everyone's participation. We had 400 attendees. That means you're not alone if you're struggling with paperwork. So you're in good company. And next month, we're going to talk about the little scraps of paper and all the thoughts and simplifying our lives into one single notebook. Can't wait to do that with you. Juliana, thank you so much, Jill, for making our program possible. And we'll do it all again in April. See you then, everyone. Be well. Happy sorting. So long.